Welcome to the Song Club.
I knew it was a bad idea to meet you here, my dear.
All right, here we are. It's Song Club number 61. It's good to be here, as always, in the always perfectly temperature-controlled Bob Schneider Song Club. I guess there are other song clubs. Or maybe they're not. Who knows? I don't know. But this one, for sure, is perfectly temperature-controlled. Let me make some mic sounds as I get the mic into the perfect position. It's April 2022-ish. I mean, it depends. You might be listening to this in the future. I think most people, if I really had my, obviously I'm a dreamer, as many of you guys know. And I'm assuming that at some point in history, much like Andy Warhol, like there was a time when Andy Warhol was making his soup cans and people were like, what is this bullshit? The critics were like, this is not art. This is a silkscreen of some Campbell's soup can label. I could do that. And now, of course, try to get your hands on one of those soup can labels. Guess how much you're going to pay for that? $47 million. But at the time, you could buy them for $100 because everybody was like, well, that's too much money. $100 is too much money. And I feel like that's the way it is with your boy B. Schneider. With B. Schneider, there's a few people that know what's up. That's you guys. But one day, there'll come a time, maybe, I don't know, who knows. Or maybe I'm just insane. I don't know. I do know it's nice to be here. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad you're on my Patreon, if you are indeed on my Patreon. If you are interested in getting the songs that you're hearing today in the Song Club, and you're not, you can just go to patreon.com/Bob Schneider and join today. And then you'll be able to download all these songs and then play them on your Samsung smartphone or your iPhone. Or maybe you built a phone. Maybe you're one of those go-get-'em type people that you're like, you know what? I know there's an iPhone that's all made and the smart Galaxy smartphone that's already done, and maybe even the Pixel phone or whatever the fuck phones they have out there. But maybe you're like, I'm just going to build my own phone. I've got some wires. I've got some electrical know-how. Maybe we're one of those type of people, and maybe that's what you did. Maybe you got that just bespoke fucking phone. You pull that shit out with all its sharp edges on it, and its screws, and its soldering all showing, and you're like, oh, I made this shit, motherfucker. Check this out. And then you're trying to make a call, and it's like, is it working? Well, we gotta iron out some of the kinks. Dude, how about we're at sea today on this? Just don't mind that ocean. Let's go inside the cabin. Yeah, it's better in here. I was recently in Annapolis, Maryland, playing a show at the Ram's Head, and I walked around that town. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's where the Naval Academy is, and there's a lot of people walking around in their Naval Academy outfits. A lot of ladies walking around who were in the Navy. They were happy to be out on a beautiful day. It was a Sunday. Maybe there's a Navy church they went to. Who knows? But they were out, and they were all smiling. Everyone I saw was smiling. They're all happy. It was like, to be young and have your whole life ahead of you and be full of that Naval Academy hope for the future. Also, not be in a war. Like, not have to, like, leave the Naval Academy, get on an actual ship, and then go be bombed by Nazis in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Because I just watched that Greyhound movie, and Jesus Christ, that's not how I want to die. My ship's just been torpedoed, and now I'm floating in the Atlantic Ocean. No thanks. I'll pick another method for my demise. Squeezed to death in a drill press at work. Probably not a great option either. My favorite pick would be Widowmaker heart attack. If really I had my druthers, but unfortunately I have like the perfect heart, so that's probably not going to happen. Speaking of perfect hearts, maybe it's time to get into the song bag this week. As always, as I do every month, as I've been doing for 61 months now, which I think if you add it up, I'm not sure, but that's like 13 years. Every month I have I basically release an album every month. Now, it's a short album. It's 8 songs. But an album nonetheless. Some would call it an EP. But if you look at Bruno Mars, he only puts out 8-song albums. He's done pretty good. He's done okay. He's landed on his feet, as they say in the biz. So let's look at the songs. There's a bunch of stuff this week. And when I say this week, I mean, of course, this month. So let's look at the first one. It's called My Favorite Thing. I'll just play it, and then we'll talk about it. And I'll answer any questions that I imagine you might be having. Here it is, My Favorite Thing. Oh, already we're just cranking it.
I like the birds when they sing. I love the music they make and the joy that it brings. Oh, I love how it feels. It feels to be king. That you are my favorite, my favorite thing. I dig the wind when it blows through the trees, the sun when it sets itself down on the sea, and the way that you look when you look right at me.
That's some Franz Ferdinand shit right there, son.
I love an idea that's just taken wing. A candy red sky on a fiery black swing. Oh, I love this love and the joy that it brings. But you are my favorite, oh my favorite thing. Oh, I love the wind as it blows through the trees, and the sun when it sets itself down on the sea. Or the way that you look when you look right at me.
Damn, was that song written in 1998? It feels like it has a bit of a 1998 vibe to it. But it wasn't. It was written in the year 2022, baby. Just wrote it. And, yeah, it's part of the Song Club. You might be asking, how does he make such amazing songs? How do they sound so good? Well, I use a couple secrets, and I'll tell you what they are, in case you want to use them yourself. I record everything in Logic, it's called a DAW. I don't know what DOS stands for. Audio workstation, maybe. Who knows what the D stands for? Dumbass workstation, maybe. Anyways, I use that Logic. And then I use a couple sweet plugins. I use one called Arcade, and I think the company's name is Output, and I got to pay them a monthly little subscription fee. And they have all these like cool little samples and sounds and stuff that you can use. And I usually sprinkle I've been using that for about a year or two, and I sprinkle that on top of my songs when I write them, and it makes them sound kind of cool and different. Like that thing in the song where it was like ding, ding, ding. That was from Arcade. I use that, and then for my drums, on most songs I use a thing called Addictive Drums. Now, do I get paid by either company? I should. I mean, I really should get paid. Those people should be like, hey, Bobby. Or at least just give me something for this amazingly free advertisements. But they don't. But one day, they still won't. But one day, they absolutely won't. But yeah, that's one of my tricks. I use some tricks, but mainly the main trick that I use is just the trick of having an incredible imagination. And not allowing the part of my brain that says, well, are you able to do this anymore? Like, is this something you can still do? And the answer is probably not. Probably not. But does that stop me? No. It don't. It don't stop the Schneider. Schneider keep do. Schneider keep do because that's what he do. Anyways, that's what I did on that last song. I just watched the Tony Hawk documentary last night, which I gotta say, pretty boring. I mean, if I was going to be real honest with myself, I'd say pretty damn boring. Now, is he one of the greatest of all times? Yeah, I think so. But I don't know. I watched it. I watched the Michael Jordan one. That was the best. That's the cream of the crop of all those documentaries. The Tom Brady one was interesting. There was something similar to Tom Brady and Tony Hawk in that both of them didn't necessarily weren't born. I mean, I don't know if Michael Jordan was born like this great basketball player. But both Tom Brady and Tony Hawk, when they started, weren't that great. And nobody thought they were going to be great. But they thought they were going to be great. And they told themselves they could do it. The other guy that I know kind of is like this is John Travolta. Not the greatest actor in the world, but he had this idea that this was something he not only could do, but was really good at. And it allowed him to show up and do the work. And I have the same thing. I don't think I'm the greatest. I know I'm not the greatest musician of all time. I don't know how to play a damn A minor sus7 chord. Now, there's some people that can do that. All the guys that I play with in my band, they all know that information. They have all this technical info. Some people can like hear a note and go, "Oh, that's a C3." Whatever that is. That's how little I know. I can't even like say what the note is, let alone identify it. Like somebody will hear this ding and they're like, "What's that note?" And they'll go, or like that. Oh, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's a B flat. That's a middle B flat, and then that's an A minor or whatever." So there are people like that. I don't have any of that. I don't have some great understanding of harmony or any of it. But I do have this idea instilled in me probably from my mom that I'm really good at this and somehow I'm really talented at it. And it allows me to continue even into my late 30s. And when I say late 30s, I mean the mud on the wheels has not only dried, but it's turned to ash. It's allowed me to continue to, write and also perform in front of people and have this idea that I'm good at it, even though, am I? I mean, what happens is you just do anything long enough, you start getting pretty good at it. I've gotten pretty good at playing music in front of people. I'm pretty good on stage. Now, as a songwriter, I don't know if I've gotten any better, but I've just been doing it for so long that if you do it long enough, it's like a blind squirrel. Eventually, you're going to collect some nuts. And I've gotten a few nuts in my satchel now. And I can dig out the best looking nuts and go, look at this nut. Check out these nuts. Check out these nuts. And people are like, oh, I like the look of those nuts. And they're like, you got any more of those nuts? And I'll be like, I do. But then I'll do an interview with somebody and they're like, oh, this motherfucker's got 1,500 nuts. And then when people go, wait a minute, you got 1,500 nuts? Oh, this is probably some shitty nuts. And then I'll be like, well, yeah, I mean, not all nuts are created equal. But I do have quite a few good nuts. And then I've got a few not great nuts. Anyways, that last song, my favorite thing, not necessarily the greatest nut, but it's a pretty good nut. Let's go on to the next song. And let me stop talking about nuts. I mean, it's an amazing metaphor. But really, this is the song club. It's not Bob Schneider's Nut Club. Even though if I called it SCHNITTI'S Nut Club, I mean, just saying it makes me think, well, of course I should change it to SCHNITTI'S Nut Club. Damn it. Why didn't I think of that 61 months ago? Sometimes ideas take a long time to come to fruition. They're like an olive tree. You know, you plant it at first and you're like, what is this? Is this something that needs the weed whacker's attention? And then you forget about it. And then you come out there a little later and you're like, oh, what is this? Is this a weed? Is this some kind of weed that's taken root? And then you go out there a year later and you're like, oh shit. This is some sort of invasive tree. And then you go out there like 150 years later and you're like, oh shit, I've got some olives. Look at these olives. And you probably got a squirrel problem. Because them olive trees, them squirrels were like, we like them olives, son. Next thing you know, you got like literally 1,000 squirrels living in your backyard, eating all them olives. Then you got just murder squirrels. Like a goddamn Liam Neeson movie. You're like, why are you covered in blood? I had to murder all these squirrels because they were eating all my olives. Anyways, let's do this next song. It's called 100 Cops. This is loosely based on, it's not loosely based, it's 100% based on that time when I was downtown Austin. I was on 6th Street. It was in the 90s. And I was hanging out, as I was wont to do in those days, drinking some alcoholic beverages. And I look up on the TV, and something's going on. All the TVs have some weird car chase where there's hundreds of cop cars, or many cop cars, and they seem to be following a car. They've got their lights on and look up, and everybody's looking at the TV, and it's O.J. Simpson in a Ford Bronco being followed down the highway by all these cops. And it's the moment where you went, oh shit, he's guilty, because he'd been arrested a day or two earlier, a couple days earlier before that, and you saw that on the news. It was like, O.J. Simpson's arrested in this murder investigation, his ex-wife or whatever, and you're like, well, that's a mistake. Obviously, it's O.J. Simpson. He would never murder anybody. He's like one of my favorite. He's one of my favorite sports heroes. I love the Juice. Everybody loves the Juice. But then when you saw that he was trying to flee, you just immediately knew, or I immediately knew. You just knew, like, oh shit. Well, that's, if he's trying to flee, that means he did it. I mean, if he didn't do it, why would he flee? And it was kind of like the Challenger crashing. Not crashing, exploding. Or like 9/11. It was a seminal event. I guess probably similar to Will Smith slapping Chris Rock was kind of a big deal this week or last week. Anyways, so did it take me 25 years to write a song about it? It did. Sometimes, again, like the olive tree, sometimes an idea takes a while for it to grow into a majestic, fruit-bearing source of life for the soon-to-be murdered squirrels. So let's check it out. Here it is. It's called 100 Cops, and it goes a little something like this. 100 cops, 100 cops in the rear view mirror. Oh my God, what have I done to get myself here? Oh dear, this isn't who I was supposed to be. This isn't how the world was supposed to remember me. "100 cops, all in a row. They're on the TV. What are they doing? Chasing the juice down the freeway. How could that be? What is the world? It's one thing, then it's something new. Maybe the world's a lot like me and you. Yeah, there it is, 100 Cops. And again, like I said earlier, I'm using that app called Arcade. So all of those sort of country sounding guitars, steel guitar things, that's all from Arcade. So they have all kinds of sounds on there. A lot of it's EDM kind of sounding dance stuff, which I'm not that crazy about, but I don't know, sometimes when you put that stuff into the mix, it's kind of cool. So yeah, that's 100 Cops. It's about OJ. had to go put on some sunglasses. It's like, man, I better put on some damn sunglasses. And maybe I'm going to wear sunglasses for the rest of my life like Snoop Dogg. Like, you don't see a picture of Snoop Dogg without sunglasses. Sometimes he'll be in a movie and you'll see him without sunglasses and you're like, whoa. Because his eyes are, because he's old. He's older than I am. I mean, when I say I'm in my late 30s, I mean, he's in his late 30s. And when I say late 30s, I mean, all the drive-ins have been closed permanently. So, yeah, so, you know, if you want to look young forever, dye your hair so it's not gray. I learned that from Paul McCartney. Sir Paul McCartney, I guess we'll call him. I learned that from him. I also learned it from this lady, Carla Boniff, who played at the Ram's Head Sunday night, who I'd never really heard of. I did a matinee show there, and then she did the later show, and I listened to her do her sound check, and I was like, wow, this woman's talented, and then I read up a little bit about her. And the first thing I read was that she was part of some songwriting group in 1969, and I was like, what? This lady looks like she's younger than I am. But she was not. But what she did have was she had perfectly brown hair, not even a single gray. And when you've got that look going for you on stage, people will just go, man, that person's young. And they're not young. I mean, unless, you know, you're like one of those people like, oh, forever young. Forever young. But wait, how old are you? Dude, talking about Forever Young, that Tony Hawk documentary starts with him visiting his mom. And I'm like, how old could she be? Because he's like 3 years younger than me, even though he looks much older than I am. And it's him visiting his mom, and it's like, damn, his mom's like not doing so good. But she's got to be like, you know, my mom's 80, so I figured his mom's probably around that. But turns out she's 96, son. And she looks 96. I mean, she can't open her eyes. She can't move. She's in a wheelchair. I mean, come on. At a certain point, give me that. Give me the drugs. I'd be like, give me that morphine. It's time to go night-night. But I don't know. You're 95. You're like, I want to keep doing it. I'd be too afraid. To check out, probably. Because you don't know what's on the other side of that death wall. I mean, it's there. It's always there. And there's a door. You can go through it. It's available. But you don't know what's on the other side. And you do know what's on this side. And this side's, at least, you know, it's not great. It's not great when you're 96. On this side, 96, it's not looking so good. Wheelchair. Can't open your eyes. Having a hard time communicating. Who knows, you know. Who knows what that experience is like. It'll be interesting. I'd like to make it that far, but I definitely want to be mobile and want to be able to open my eyes. If I can't open my eyes, what the fuck? I mean, I want to know where the Dr. Pepper is. Like, if I could ask people, like, whoa, where's the Dr. Pepper? And they'd be like, can't you look? It's right there. Yeah, but I can't open my eyes anymore. Well, open your eyes. I can't because I'm too old. Well, okay, here's your Dr. Pepper. Let's listen to one more song. This is the last song from this month, and then we're going to go way, way back for the rest of these songs. For the rest of these songs, I went back in time. We're going to do some time traveling, but let's listen to this one first. So, as I've said before, I have a song game that I've been doing since 2000, where I come up with a phrase and then write a song using that phrase. It used to be every couple days. Now it's once a week, which is manageable. Writing a song a week's pretty doable for most people if you're a songwriter, but not for everybody. For some of the folks in my song game, writing a song a week's too much for them. Why is that? I don't know. Probably because they have lives. Probably because they know how to enjoy life, unlike me. All right, so the song prompt for this week was that I wrote this song was "Strange City," which I thought, well, that's going to write itself, and it kind of did. And after I wrote the song, I was like, oh, every time I sing this song, I'm just going to change the name from Strange City to whatever the city is that I'm playing, like Boston or shit Villa or, fuck face Indiana or whatever the fuck towns are called that I go play. And I tried it. I think I did it in Dallas. And then I was like, oh, this is stupid. And then I haven't been doing it. And I'll probably never play this song again. I don't know. But I kind of like this song. Let's listen to it and see if that's actually true. All right, here it is. It's called Strange City. And it goes like this.
Hey, strange city, how you doing? It's been some time since last we met, and there might be a thing or two since then we might both want to forget. Hey, strange city, how's it going? I like what you've done with your hair. Is that something new you're wearing? You're as shiny as Fred Astaire. For me, I've had my struggles. It's hard sometimes, you see, but it's relieved in no small measure by your kind, sweet call.
That's definitely a song that would be a big hit at the Hobbitshire in the Lord of the Rings. Like, if they had like a radio station for hobbits, they'd be like, that would be one of the all-time big songs. You just, like, every tiny hobbit house that you would go by, that would be playing on the radio. Be like, oh, what are you listening to, Frodo Baggins? I'm listening to Strange City by B. Schneider. I like this song. What's it about, Frodo Baggins? Oh, it's about going to a strange city. Oh, I'd never do it. I like it here. It's nice in the Shire. Dude, did you just for a moment while you're listening to me go, oh, fuck. What happened? I was listening to Bob Schneider's Song Club. Now I'm listening to some part of the Lord of the Rings that I don't even remember, but it's almost as good as any part I ever remember. What? Like, in your brain's like, oh, what? Where am I? Because that's how good, I feel like that's how good my impression of hobbits were. I don't know. Maybe your brain was like, maybe hobbits are real. I know for a minute I thought hobbits were real. And then I was like, well, oh, it's me. I'm doing the voices. Dude, that's how fucked up that was for me. I mean, you were listening to it, so it's understandable. But me, I was like, where am I? What is going on? What is reality? Who am I? Where am I? What am I? And for a second, I didn't know. I was lost in perfection. The perfection of being a hobbit. Not just one, but multiple hobbits having a conversation. But then all of a sudden I was like, oh no, I'm back in the song club. I'm Bob Schneider. A lot of people call me By Schnei. by Biblio Schnidblio. Some folks use, different terms for the schnitty. I was playing the Birchmere, and a man came in and said, "Hey, how do you want to be introduced?" And I'm like, "Just say B Schnitty's in the house." And he thought that was funny. He was like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "No, that's a joke." But it was a good one, I guess, because he laughed a little bit. Then he told me about being a crack salesman in Washington, D.C. in the 80s and 90s. And it was a fascinating story. And made even more fascinating because earlier in the day, while we were driving to get to the Birchmere, we had made a wrong turn, or an early turn, and we ended up in the bad streets of Baltimore where The Wire was filmed, which is an interesting journey as well. Now, I don't know if you've been in the D.C. area, but if you fuck up a turn in D.C., you might basically be starting a new life. You're like, "Oh, I've got a wife and 4 children and a job, but I just I just turned too early on this highway, and good luck. It'll be years before you finally get back on track again." The fucking roads in that part of the country were created by the same person that created the metaverse in Doctor Strange. It's like, what the fuck? Like, start over. Like, I get it. Maybe those roads were created when they just had horses and maybe an ox. And they were like, "Well, that's all we've got, so just make the road go wherever the fuck you want." But when they finally, came up with cars, when they invented cars, start over. Like, grid it up, like New York City. Avenues and streets, baby. Make it easy. Oh, I'm going here? What's the avenue? What's the street? Boom, done. Here, I felt like I was in goddamn Fat Albert's afro. I mean, it was fucked up, dude. Those streets are rough biz. They're, anyways, and Google Maps didn't do anything to help me. Like, I kind of wish Google Maps would have been a little chiller. Maybe if I hadn't muted the audio. I don't know. All right, let's get to the next song. So all these next songs are old songs. I don't even know when they were written. This first one is called Lovely. This has got to be from the early aughts. So this is probably pre-2005. And I talk about Jackson Pollock in this song. The thing that you'll notice about a lot of these songs is I've gotten better at recording these songs. So these demos are they got a little bit more of that age to them. Anyways, let's check it out. This one's called Lovely, and see how it sounds. Man, I'm like cranking these songs, which is kind of cool if you're in a car and you don't want your speakers blown.
Jackson Pollock ain't no friend of mine. He lived his life some other time, but I saw him once while in a dream. He looked so sad and so it seemed. We walked along a rocky path. The world, it always makes me laugh. I think is what he said to me. I asked him why that might be. He said, "It's lovely, so lovely. It's lovely, it's so lovely. It's lovely, it's lovely. It's lovely, so lovely. It's lovely, it's lovely. It's lovely, yeah."
I want to say that might have been one of the first songs I wrote in the song game. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but so that would be like 2001, maybe even 2000. Kind of a nice song. I had this CD at the time. I can't think of the drummer's name. Some like Japanese guy, and it was a CD that just had these drum tracks, and I guess everybody was sampled. They were very popular at the time. Around that time, that people were using those for really big songs that were being produced at the time. And so I got my hands on it, and I'm pretty sure that's where that drum track came from. That's when I was using Pro Tools to record with, and I used Pro Tools for years and years and years, and people at some point around 2000, maybe 10, they're like, man, you should learn Logic. It's such a better songwriting program. And I was like, yeah, I'll get around to it. And I tried it a couple times. I'm like, oh, this is too complicated. It's too complicated. But then at some point, I just made myself learn it, which is what I got to do. Sometimes I just got to make myself do it. And I learned Logic probably 6 or 7 years ago now. And, man, once I got into Logic, I was like, wow, I can't believe I fucking used Pro Tools all those years. It's like a person who's like maybe a closeted homosexual. And for years and years, they like, I don't know. People are like, oh, you should try some of this dick over here. And you're like, I don't know. Maybe I'm Christian or I don't know. And then you try that dick and you're like, oh, shit. Unlimited. It's unlimited amount of dick over here. Anyways, that's, I guess, what Logic is. If you're going to go metaphorically, it's that unlimited amount of dick that's available. Unlike Pro Tools, which is, limited amount of vag. Unless you're Jared Leto. Unless you're fucking Tony Hawk in 1991 or 99. Actually, 99. 2000, I think, is when Tony Hawk was probably getting the most vaginal rejuvenite. I think that's the correct medical term for a preponderance of poontang. What seems to be the problem, Mr. Hawk? Well, suffering from a preponderance of poontang. And I'm also in marriages, so it's kind of fucking up my marriages. Oh, well, maybe we suggest rehab? Yup, okay. Guess he went to rehab. Kind of like your boy, SCHNITTI'S. Sometimes you gotta need a little outside influence to figure it out. Figure out how to be in a relationship. Sometimes you can't figure that out on your own. Anyways, it seems like he figured it out. He's got a bunch of kids. He seems like a nice guy. But ultimately, I don't know. Ultimately, he's a skateboarder. And, that's cool. He's, is he the best of all time? Maybe. So there's something cool about that. There's something, that made me want to watch that video. It really, the whole time I was watching, I was like, I want to play Tony Hawk, which I have on my PlayStation. And then I got sleepy and I didn't play it, but who knows, maybe I'll play it today. I really love that game. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then it got real bad. They decided to change it for some reason. And then it started getting bad. And then I don't even know if they make it anymore. But for a while, man, that was the hot video. When it would come out, you'd just go get it. And they just released 1 and 2, I don't know, a year ago for like 4 and 5, PlayStation 4 and 5. So if you like that game, it's available now. If you're still playing video games at in your late 30s like myself. All right, let's listen to another one. This next one's called Lucinda. Man, this is old. This is probably pre-2000, because I think it sounds like it was done on a cassette to me. For a while, I was recording on a 4-track and then an 8-track cassette player, where you'd use your old TDKs and put them in there and do everything analog. No digital editing involved. And I had this Sonic keyboard, which would let me sample stuff. But it was, I'd have to program it in the keyboard. Anyways, I think that's what this is. It's the Sonic that's got samples in it that kind of repeat, and then me singing this kind of plaintive, sad song called Lucinda. And maybe it's loosely based on Tony Hawk. Let's listen and find out.
Everything that we had ever been was erased with just a single shot. Just some simple words, a little souvenir. Let's gather us around the honey tree. Say goodbye. Worry warts and all the limp-livered little babies, and intoxicated intellectuals. Why won't the guards leave anyone alone? All hopes multiplied by 10.
Yep, there you have it, Lucinda. Pretty cool little jam. I mean, I was enjoying that, and I hadn't listened to it in a minute. I thought it'd be an interesting song to include in the song club, and it was. There's this thing when you write music, especially when you've just written it. There's sort of a love thing that you have for it because it's brand new. It's like having a little baby or something, because it's new in the world and you haven't heard it. You kind of really are enamored with it because you made it. And there's something about human beings when we make something, we like it. It makes us feel important or whatever. So there's a moment where you're kind of in love with the song, but then you write the next song, and similar to having a child, maybe, you are more fascinated with the newer song and less fascinated with the older song. And in fact, sometimes you tire of it. And then believe me, if you had 2,000 babies, you're not going to like all the babies as much as the new baby is the one you're going to like. So, but then, like anything, if you get away from something for a minute and then you listen to it, you're like, oh, that's pretty good. I like that. I have to say, kind of when I was in my I'm in my late 30s, and when I say late 30s, I mean the fire's out. But not only is the fire out, but the place where the campsite was, that's paved over, and there's an office complex there. What was I saying? I was talking about something. Who knows? Oh, I was gonna say something about being in my early 30s, but who cares? It doesn't. Again, it doesn't really matter too much, because we're getting down there. We're getting down to the end of the song club, and we still got 3 songs to talk about. This next song is called MAUDE. This is another super old one, and I wrote this song, and then I don't know if I must have been on the road with David Boyle. He was in my band around 2000, 2001. He was the keyboard player in Scabs, but then he was also in the Bob Schneider band for a while, and he's played on most of the records that I've put out. He played on Lovely Creatures. He played on the newest one, In a Room Full of Blood. He played on King Kong. No, that's the one he didn't play on, but he's played on every other record besides maybe King Kong. Great keyboard player and a wonderful guy. And we were on the road together, and I wrote this song. Again, it was probably back when I was using 4-track, but maybe I was using Pro Tools. I don't know. But I asked him if he would put some keyboards on this track, and I think he must have taken it home and done it at home and then sent it to me after he recorded it. And it just, the choices he made were so good. And I really think that's what makes great musicians. Because anybody can learn how to play piano, anybody can learn how to play guitar or something, but then it's just some people, their musical aesthetic is, if it's like, his is similar to mine. I don't know if it's because we're the same age, but whatever, the choices he makes are the choices that I would make if I played keyboard. Same with Conrad Chakroon, the guy who plays drums on most of my records, and all the guys that I work with. So anyways, let's check it out. This is MAUDE. Now again, when I sent him, this was pretty basic, and then he just added all this stuff that, like the kind of interesting mellotron keyboard, like the flute thing that sounds like an old Beatles record. Anyways, he put all this stuff on there, and it just made the song really so much better. All right, here it is. It's called MAUDE. Yeah, that string thing, that's all David Boyle. It's like, oh, it's cool. Like when he sent it back, I was like, oh, interesting. When's my song gonna start? Oh, there it is. There's me doing the Bob Schneider thing. Oh. More Boyle.
Inside her head, a circus troupe sings the sky's a bowl of bright blue soup. Juicy fruit and crystal meth, kisses filled with whiskey breath. Sunday morning, super sticky, upside over, tight and tricky. How'd you hold your breath so long? You're gone for good, and good is gone. Falling
Yeah, there's a lot. That's all David Boyle right there. Very cool stuff. And again, just an extremely talented young man. And that's a wonderful thing that I've been so just fortunate and blessed to be able to do over the years is make music with these guys who are just so incredible. Like, I'm okay. I'm pretty good at like writing songs. I'm pretty good at singing. I'm pretty good at figuring out stuff to do to make it sort of interesting for the audience. But these guys that I play with, Bruce Hughes, David Boyle, the Grooveline Horns, Adam Temple, he's the guitar player from the Scabs, Charles Reeser, the other guitar player from the Scabs, Dave Robinson, the drummer for the Scabs. The guys, Dave Monzi, he plays all the bass on all these records that I put out. George Reith, who played bass on A Perfect Day, who's passed away. Just these amazing. Steve Bruton, who played all the guitar and banjo and on Lonely Land. Just these amazing guys who are like my heroes. Like much more so than any sports heroes. These guys make magic with their instruments. They make real, true magic. Like, it's not some trick. They're somehow able to create this beauty and unique stuff in the world that didn't exist. It's alchemy. They're alchemists. And I get to be a part of that. Kind of a small part, really. And man, I feel so grateful and lucky to be able to be part of that and to be able to play with these guys. And, anyways, it's just nice. It's nice. I'm very, very blessed. I have a very blessed, wonderful life. And part of that is you guys, the Patreon folks, and the people that are just listening to the Song Club podcast, maybe curious folk. If you do want to get these songs, you can go to patreon.com/Bob Schneider. And not only will you get these songs from this month, but you'll get all the songs from all the Song Clubs. So 61 times 8. I think that's 4,500,000 songs that you can download and make part of your library. It's a pretty good deal. It's getting to the point now where I'm like, Jesus Christ. These songs are like Napster value at this point. Let's go to the next song. It's called The Milkmaid of Wilmington, Delaware. I was in Wilmington, Delaware playing a show, probably with the Ugly Americans. Could have been the Scabs, but I think it was the Ugly Americans. So it would have been the late 90s. And for a while there, I was writing songs like in every city. I'd be in a city. I'm like, I'm just going to write a song about the city. And so I wrote a song incorporating Wilmington, Delaware in the title. And it's called The Milkmaid of Wilmington, Delaware. Let's check it out and see what we think about it. Oh, man, you could tell I'm interested in it because I've got a yawn going. Nice. This is definitely taped.
Well, they called her Little Betty when she was just a tyke. She had a couple little sisters, and they all looked alike. She'd sit beyond the barn, snatch the cool wind in her hair. The milkmaid of a Wilmington in sunny Delaware.
Oh, that's me trying to do harmonies.
She had no friends at all, they say she seldom said a word. And though she was quite beautiful, she was crazy, so I heard. They said she'd do most anything that others wouldn't dare. The milkmaid of a Wilmington in sunny Delaware.
That one wasn't too bad.
She grew to 6'5" when she was only 12 years old. She could out-wrestle any boy, and so I have been told. She could lift an apple cart 6 feet up in the air. The milkmaid over Wilmington in sunny Delaware.
Oh, I like that one. I hit a jump shot.
Legend grew as she grew old. I've heard the old folks say she'd eat 4 dozen eggs and 20 loaves of bread each day, and wash it down with no less than a keg of wine. They swear the milkmaid of a Wilmington in sunny Delaware.
Man, I'm getting better at those every time.
Now no man in the county would dare ask her for a hand, till one day through the village there came a traveling band. That's the day I fell in love, the day I saw her standing there, the milkmaid of a Wilmington in sunny Delaware.
Damn, I'm becoming like a professional background singer towards the end of that song. Yeah, that's the Milkmaid of Wilmington, Delaware. I will say this. I've noticed this just in the last month, that I used to have, like, I spent a lot of time creating these stories. Like that one's got a pretty sizable story arc. Songs like, I don't know. I can't really think of another example. But lately, I've just been getting simpler and simpler with my songwriting. I'm not sure if that's necessarily better, or if it's laziness, or if I just don't have the capacity to write these more complex songs that have a lot of lyrics or tell a much bigger story. I almost feel like as I've gotten older, it's more like, well, how can I describe a certain feeling? And it's kind of like that's what I'm more interested in doing now, is just like describing a feeling that I'm having versus telling a story. But there's something to be said about these old songs where I'm telling a real story, and that I find charming, and it's nice, and because it also imparts, it definitely brings up feelings as well. But I mean, I guess the combination of like a song like "Changing Your Mind" is one of my favorite songs that I've written. That one tells a story, but it also is really about this feeling of loss, and also frustration and sadness, and also just this sort of hopelessness that you're powerless over people, and especially when you're powerless over people that you love, it's hard. And that song does it really well. The Milkmaid of Wilmington, that's a fun song, and it's a sweet song about being in love, but it's also kind of a funny, fantastical tale as well. So anyways, it's interesting how as you move through life, what is important changes. I think when I wrote that song, what was important to me is making sure that people knew that I could write a decent song, and that I was clever. And now, I still want people to think I'm a good songwriter, or think I'm clever or whatever, but really, everything is emotion based when I'm writing. It's about how do I get to the feeling that I'm having. And it's the lyric usually that does it, but occasionally the music does it too. It's a combo, obviously. It's both. All right, let's finish it up with this song called "Medical Career." This song's loosely based on my cousin. I have a cousin who's my age who became a doctor, an anesthesiologist, one of the smartest guys I've ever known. Famously, and I don't even know if this is true anymore, but this is the story that I tell people. When he was in high school, he went to a pretty big high school, a couple thousand kids. And just for fun, he decided to memorize all the students' names in his high school, like maybe out of the yearbook or whatever, which is just crazy. I mean, I can't even remember the people I know, the 10 people that I know's names. Half the time I'm just saying dude or yo, what up, man? But he memorized everybody's names, and then he could walk around school and knew everybody's name. That's the kind of person, that's the kind of brain he had. And anyways, yeah, he became a doctor, and of course everybody in the family was really proud of him because we're a bunch of fucking, trash from Michigan. Most of us, a bunch of alcoholics and drunks, and I think my dad was the first person that ever went to college, and my mom, I guess she went to college too, but most of the Schneiders and Moores, my mom's family, didn't amount to much really. And but Tom, became a really successful doctor, anesthesiologist. Started a sort of a plastic surgery sort of place, but not plastic surgery, but like everything, like Botox and microdermabrasion and all that kind of crap. And, made a lot of money and was very successful. And so that's what this song's about. It's about that, going into the medical career, which, if you, I don't know, if your kid became a doctor, that was like success for a lot of people. I don't know if my son decided to become a doctor, I'd be like, oh, really? Is that what you want to do? Why not do something more fun? But people, I guess some people become doctors because they want to help people. I think a lot of people just become doctors because it's a way to make a lot of money, and it's easy because it's just, you just learn some shit that, you just learn it, and then you get to make money. So for some people, that's something to do with their lives. I can't think of anything worse than just learning something that's already known and making money. It's an empty, horrible life. I want to go into the woods and create my own trail. Anyways, that's what I'm doing. That's where we're at. We're at the Song Club. We're on this trail. I'm hacking through the bush, and you guys are right here with me, and I appreciate it. And I'm glad to have spent another hour or so with you guys. And I hope you have a wonderful month, and we'll see you next time. In the meantime, let's check out this song, Medical Career, and we'll get out of here with this. All right. Take care.
Sound the trumpets fetch the Swan King till the bells have shed their tears. It's the day that everyone's been waiting on for years. The son of Hal, the blacksmith, with his heart that holds no fear, will be trading on his wild days for the medical career. No more drinking inside Austin pubs till closing time each night. No more courting married ladies with their smiles and sweet delight. No more lazy days and endless nights and lost and lonely years. He's traded out his wild days for the medical career. From the flag of every flagpole, tell everyone you see that the world is full of miracles and light and mystery, and no one ever knows which road the world is bound to take.